Alright, welcome back everyone. This is going to be part 10 here of our welding portion. When we left off, we were working on this ramp assembly here, and I had some parts on this ramp flipper that had bent on me, so I did redesign those a little bit, mainly by adding some thickness. And here those parts are. This is the one in particular that I had an issue with. It had kind of bent. It's hard to see here, but I've bent it back before. So I doubled the thickness on that. Those are now 1/4 inch thick. I also remade these. I'm going to double those up a little bit. Doesn't seem like it's a real problem, but we're going to have those. And we're going to keep going on this portion of it. I also got the TIG welding tank refilled. That's an argon tank. I was getting close to the end there. So I got a new tank today. Got it refilled, got it put on. And later on in this video, you're going to see what we're going to TIG weld up on that. So let's get to work here, get some things done here, and check back in. So on this ramp, I'm ready to start forming the aluminum to go on as a tray here. And I want it to wrap around this edge here and kind of sit in here. And then I'll put a filler piece here, and I want that edge to roll from the sheet here. I want it to roll over. So I need to form a flange on both sides here, and this thing is about 28 inches wide and it's about 52 inches long. My little Harbor Freight sheet metal bender folder is only 36 inches long, so I need to hand form this. So I've got this set up over here, and what I'm using is just a chunk of 2-inch angle and a lot of clamps, and I'm just using a wood hammer, and you can see here is where I'm working my way along. So I've beat that up a little bit with the wood hammer, and as I form the flange up, I get it tight up to that angle, and I just move the clamps to move it out of the way as I work along. So this end, I've basically got that where I want it with one bent flange there. Then I'll check the fit on it, and then I'll back away and I'll set the angle for the other side, trim it to approximate width, and then form up the other side the same way. So that's working pretty well. Again, the wood hammer kind of allows it to the metal to form up without stretching it. If I were to hit it with this metal hammer against that steel angle, you stretch. What you do is you end up stretching this surface here, and you'll end up with a big potato chip. Sometimes that's to your advantage for stretching and forming a piece, but in this case I want to keep it nice and flat, so I'm using a wood-faced hammer to do that. So we're going to keep going on this, get the first flange made, then we'll test fit it. So using the Harbor Freight electric shears there, nibbler actually, we've gone ahead and cut off the excess, which is right here, leaving this nice little ribbon of curl from that entire length. I left enough for that flange. I'm going to test fit it just to make sure I've got enough flange on there, and then I'm going to clamp the angle back on and form up the other flange there. So here it is, just clamped in place there. I put a couple of reference marks where this other flange has to be on the bottom there, and now I can go back and start forming up that flange. So here we have the second edge. I clamped it, did all the pounding with that wooden mallet there, and measure twice, cut once, that sort of thing. We're going to release these clamps and get it over there to the ramp and see if it fits. Phew, it fits. It sits right down around that tube there and around that tube there. So now we can come up here, and I'll do some notching on the sheet so it can slide here, and I'm going to have it lap underneath this diamond plate so that it's a smooth transition all the way back. So it's a 1-inch tube right here, so I'm going to cut that flange back, maybe flatten it out, and get it to fit up in there. Once I do that, then I'll measure and I'll notch just the flanges on the sheet right here, put a very slight bend in there, and then the rest of it will come back, and then I can trim it to length. We got this under tray now drilled and tapped and screwed down. 16 holes drilled and tapped, 1024. I've got more to do, but I need to mark it from the front side so I know where these center tubes are, and get those. Maybe just a quick note on tapping. If you hate tapping, this tip you're gonna like. Now I started tapping with a regular tap like this, and you have to, you know, go in a half to 3/4 turn, back out a 1/4 turn, keep going back and forth, and it's slow. Then I remembered that I've got this spiral point tap. See if that'll show up. And what this does is, as it goes forward, see if you can get a little better view there. There, that's the spiral point. And what these taps do is they push the chips forward, so you have to have a through hole, but they allow you to just turn it in and keep turning, and you don't have to back up at all as you tap through that hole. So they're much faster. You can put them in a drill, and I have done this. For this case, I just want to be careful. I only have one of these right now. I don't want to break it, so I'm using it in this little hand holder, and it works good. It definitely went a lot faster once I switched to that. So there's a little tip for you. If you're looking for those, search for spiral point tap, and they're worth the couple extra bucks for them. Anyway, we're going to keep moving on this ramp assembly. All right, so I flipped the ramp over so we're top side up again. I took out all the screws here that hold that down. Those are stainless steel button head screws. And I'm going to take this top plate off, and then I can get in and work on some more welding. And I also have to put in 2 filler plates right here to fill that gap in between the under tray and the side there. So I'm going to do that from the top side here. And there we go. I got that top sheet lifted off, slid out of there. And now you can kind of see this internal structure from the top side. And I'm going to mark the aluminum sheet and then probably get that off of there so we don't get weld spatter on it. And then we can commence with welding the rest of this here. So here is the cardboard template for the filler panel that will go there. And it also fits on the other side here. So I'm going to pull that out, and we're going to go start cutting some aluminum here. All right, I've got those 2 filler plates all roughed out and ready for fitment. I've already fitted them in. We're going to put them in there and then drill and tap the holes to hold them in position. And then this part will be done for that. And then we can move on to removing all of the aluminum off so I can do some welding. All right, so the aluminum under tray here is finally done. I got the other holes that are in the center match drilled, tapped. These triangle plates, here's kind of an outside shot of those, you can see that. There's 2 screws on the inside holding those on each. So total, with all these aluminum parts, there's 31 1024 screws that have been tapped, drilled and tapped in here to hold this on. I think earlier the video was maybe a little unclear for this tap, so we'll just show a little better view with the cardboard as a backdrop there. So that's the spiral point tap. Okay, now I can remove this and then we can get to welding. Alright, I got the main ramp assembly all done. It's all welded, and all the weld spatter has been ground off of this top plate here, and that's where the wheelchair will slide in, roll in. So I want it to be nice and smooth, and then we'll put some grip tape on as necessary. So that's all set to go. It's just resting there. That'll come off for sandblasting, powder coating. The frame just on a roller right there. And here's the aluminum sheeted parts. Those are all complete. They'll need to be polished up a little bit and then clear coated. And then next up here is the flipper parts that go on the ramp. It flips and folds out to extend the end of the ramp. And I'm getting ready to weld on these new arms right here that go on. They are double the thickness of the previous ones to increase the strength here in this area. It needs to stay low profile so that the wheelchair has less chance of hitting it right there when you're backing up into the ramp assembly. So we're going to get those welded on and then finish weld the back side here, and of course the back side of that one. So that's next up here on our list. So I got the flipper assemblies here. They're all welded now, and the remaining thing here is now to grind them, get some of the weld spatter off, and clean up a few weld beads where there's close tolerance for things to fit together, particularly where there's hinges. There's some things that need to be fit pretty close, and so we'll clean those up with the grinder, make everything look pretty, and then those parts will be done. So here's those ramp flippers. I set them back on the ramp here, and it's located in here with the main frame. Those are all ground and set to go. And then next up, not in this video, but ran out of time here for this weekend, but I've got these two window frames and the windshield frames all set up and prepped here for TIG welding. It's kind of ironic, these were some of the first parts to come off during the disassembly, and now they're going to be close to the last on getting welded. I do still have the whole boogie wheel swing arm assemblies left to do, and once we finish that, there's just a few other miscellaneous things to weld up. So we're getting close to the end. Anyway, if you've been still watching and hanging around, please give me a like, subscribe if you haven't, and thanks again for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.